It's ABC time. The general approved this song. Liberia, stand up. 2029. It's Alex Cummings time. Who do we have? ABC. Who do we want? ABC. Who we will carry? ABC. Alex Cummings all the way. Who do we have? ABC. Who do we want? ABC. 2029, we're making change for a better Liberia today. It's Alex Cummings time, let's give him a chance. New vision for the country, now we advance. From the struggle to success, we're ready to grow. ABC leadership, now we go show. Infrastructure rising, better roads ahead. Job creation so the youth can be fed. Agriculture, education, healthcare strong. Government of inclusion where we all belong. We're tired of promises going in a circle. Time to break free, make the system work. Oh, transparency and truth we demand. ABC is the man for the land. Who do we have? ABC. Who do we want? ABC. Who we will carry? ABC. Alex Cummings all the way. Who do we have? ABC. Who do we want? ABC. Who we will carry? ABC. Alex Cummings all the way. Economic expert with a powerful plan. Reformer on a mission, yes he can. To stop corruption, bring accountability. Open government but full transparency. 16 tribes, one identity. 173 districts, unity. 5 counties standing hand in hand. One Liberia, one strong land. We are one, that's what he said. Loving, hard working every day. Together we rise, together we stand. Building the future of our land. No more waiting, no more delay. 21st century, we on our way. For the youth, for tomorrow, make we try. ABC, lifting Liberia high. ABC, hey, ABC, the visionary, the leader we see. ABC, ABC, changes now for you and me. ABC, 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 changes now for you and me. Let's do it together, hand in hand. For every village, every land. 2029, we take a stand. Alex Cummings is the man. God bless Liberia. The time is now. It's ABC time. The general approved this song. Liberia, stand up. 2029.
Okay. Do you listen to the radio stations in country? Do you read the papers?
I do. I read the papers more than I listen to the radio stations, but I do both. Correct. Absolutely.
Wow, that's good.
I mean, that's how I try to start the day. I try to start the day both local papers online, right, on the phone, and international papers as well. So I start the day looking at BBC website, CNN website, Financial Times, and then the local papers, Observer, British Africa, Analyst, Bruton, etc. And then I try to do some radio stations again, not as often, but most of the papers.
You look lively.
I am, by the way. You know, again, seriously. By the way, I speak with my hands, and sometimes
It's okay.
it throws people off. But it doesn't in the studio. Yes, I think it's okay. No, look, seriously, Clarence, thank you. I'm feeling good. I exercise at least 3 times a week.
You do?
I do sometimes more. I try to watch what I eat. Right? I try not to eat too late in the night because then it's hard to digest. It's not good for your internal system. So I'm very disciplined about my life. And so exercise, diet, all part of what I do. And then I've been blessed. I keep using the word blessing. I've got good genes. My father lived till he was at 80 years old. My mother lived till she was like 93. So again, that's a blessing. Right?
We'll go into some of the main discussions. I just wanted to interact with you a little bit. Now, in the midst of all these, you come from a background of business. You work with one of the biggest corporations in the world, in corporate America. You work in Nigeria, other places are very profile. Then you came back home, you were always home, you want to be president of the country. In the midst of all this, is there anything that came out publicly about you that you got shocked about? That you were like, how? This is not me. How?
Yeah.
Why are the people taking me to be another? Is there anything that surprised you in the midst of the whole politics and that you think is a result of politics?
Yeah, I think there are two things. One is the whole accusation that I'm gay. I support gay lifestyle, which is complete nonsense. I would use a different word, but there's a public program, so I would use the real PS word, right? But complete nonsense, and it's all political. You know, Clarence, when people don't have anything to say bad about you, look, I'm not perfect by any stretch. I don't pretend to be. I have my own imperfections, like everybody, every human being living, right? But when people got nothing substantial to say, they make up stuff. And they made up that S, and that was a shocking piece to try to ruin my reputation, etc. So that was one. The second one, there are three actually. The second one was the assertion that, you know, I'm elitist, I'm aloft, you know, I'm not relatable, and you know that one to some extent I own it, right? Maybe because I'm introvert, I'm quiet, so I gotta take responsibility, and maybe I just maybe some of the people around me reflected that behavior, so again, I own that. I don't want to blame anybody on that. And maybe the third thing is when they accuse me of fingering the document, right? The CPP, when they lied on me, right? And I was all political, you know. We look at my integrity. Clarence, I've managed, my last budget I managed at Coca-Cola globally was over $1 billion United dollars. People all around the world. I've been audited numerous times in my career. And no accusation. You go online, go anywhere, of any impropriety, anything wrong, stealing money, do anything wrong or bad, forging documents, and to enter politics and for them to just lie on me like that, take me to court, you know, to start embarrass me. Those are kind of the three things that the political stuff, very shocking and that kind of stuff. But look, it not gonna stop me. I'm undeterred. I'm a very determined person.
Right? We'll come there to talk about that, Mr. Comey. Now let's move ahead now. If there is anything you reflect on and say, wow, this is it, as a result of the 2023 elections, if there is anything you think that is responsible for you not winning that elections and not becoming president of the country, what would that be?
Look, there are many things. There's no one thing, right? And look, maybe Liberian people weren't ready for me. Maybe they, you know, wanted President Boakai, wanted the experience. So I don't want to blame anybody. I own where I find myself. Okay. Take responsibility, right? But there's a few things we could have done better. It may not have changed the outcome, Clarence. We'll never know. But there are things we could have done better. In no particular order. Our whole sort of media, communications, propaganda stuff wasn't very effective. For example, we let them define me to say the man gay, and we didn't really react, right? To say the man is a loaf. All those negatives, we should have been more effective in reacting to that. We should have defined me and not let the opposition define me, right? We didn't do it. So the whole communication and media propaganda piece. We didn't actively engage with the young people in Liberia. We did, but I would say superficially, not in a real connecting way. We also didn't protect our votes. Our poll watching, what we call voter integrity operation was horrible, was abysmal, was a failure, right? And that's why we quote unquote got a 1% result, because we didn't protect our votes and we let them sort of finger the results. Again, we own that, I own that. So those are the other things, many other things we could have done different, better, but those are some of the big ones, I think.
You think the CPP thing was also responsible? Because when you people started the whole CPP thing, you were very engaging with the George Weah regime, critiquing the regime, criticizing the regime, providing policy options that you thought would move the country forward. But, you know, all of you, Joe Boakai, Cummings, and how they call you, you did not have somebody who said this will be the arrowhead. You were like, everybody, yeah, like that, oh, yeah, that way, yeah, let that be together. Right. Don't you think that affected you too?
It did, Clarence. And thank you for reminding me of that very sad period. So, the way I think about the CPP, it reflects the good and what's possible in Liberia. It also reflects what's bad about Liberia. It reflects both. On the good side, it reflected that we came together at one point We were effective. We had results. You know, when I chair, I don't like to use I too much, but when I chaired the CPP, the 6 months, that was when the CPP was most successful. It was during the 2020 election, you may recall. And we won, I think, 7, 8 Senate seats. You can check, I don't know, maybe more or less, but in that range, right? I mean, it was a successful, and Liberians were happy. They wanted the unity. So that's the good part of who we are. You know, when we come together, when we reconcile, we work, we can make a difference in our country. And the CPP on the one hand reflected that. On the other side, reflected what's bad about Liberia, what I call the crab mentality, where we pull each other down, where we lie on each other, right? Where, you know, I was accused falsely, took me to court. It was all architected, all orchestrated. And yes, it impacted the result. We had momentum prior to that. They wanted to slow it down. It was intentional, right? Of course, everybody knows the result. There's complete nonsense that would know. So yes, the CPP was a big part of why we were not successful. And again, the whole sort of lying, cheating, the crab mentality, it shows the bad part of our country. But again, I'm not discouraged. I want to focus on the good side. I'm a very positive person. I'm a very optimistic person. I see the glass as half full, not empty, no matter what the circumstance. And so I'm still open to collaboration. I'm still open to reconciliation. That's what the country needs, right? And that's the part I want to focus on. And we'll learn from the mistakes, right? There were some mistakes. So there were like 2 mistakes. One of them you mentioned, actually. When you go into a collaboration, I think you need to agree upfront who's going to lead it, right? We didn't do that. We left it open, and we saw what happened. The result was. The other learning for me is that we need to collaborate all along the way, talk to each other, build relationships, but you want to formalize it. You know, put it into document, formalize it when you get closer to the election. It's when you formalize it. You do it too early, too much can change. Too many people's interests, circumstances, the world, the environment can change what happens, right? So you want to formalize it closer, but you want to build relationships going up to that, right? And then you want to be clear on who will be the arrowhead when you come together before you formalize it.
Okay, so let's move forward. Let's talk about the new ANC, and I'm speaking in context. I say the new ANC because you had a convention. Your chairman retained his post, but you have a new secretary general and other officials. What are you thinking about, Mr. Cummings, in your effort as part of your quest to, you know, resuscitate the ANC and its activities across the country, probably make it more visible? Take yourself, because there are multidimensional discussions about Cummings and the ANC. People believe, yeah, you are an introvert. That can stop you from being a politician, whatever. But do you have plans to move about across the country, make the party more visible, you know, make it more engaging and those kinds of things?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Clarence, I'm not the only introverted politician. President Boyta, who I know well, he's also a kind of an introvert, right? And he's had success. But yes, that's something I need to adjust, etc. But back to the party, though. We need to re-energize the party, and we are going to do that. As you suggest, we went to a convention. We had our convention in Kakata in Madibi. Our chairman was re-elected, Councillor Lafiaku. But many new officers, some people re-elected, but many new officers, both, at the national level and, you know, in the counties. And we're in the process now of trying to re-energize the party, putting the resources required to do that. And so Liberians will see a re-energized ANC starting the second half of this year and going forward. I think it's important that you know we do that and that will happen. So I'm excited about the ANC, about our future, about the leadership of the party. Will be more robust in the media. We're doing work now to build out our communications, our marketing, our media team. You know, sometimes they say you got to go slow to go fast, right? And so we're doing that now. And by the way, you know, there's a perception, some Liberians, that you have to constantly be in the media, right? And that is exhausting, right? The election just happened in 2023, and people are not expecting me to just continue, right? You know, we took some time off. We were around. We're in the country. We just went in.
I think this is so because the CPP was too engaging.
I guess.
It did not give the George Weah administration any chance.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I didn't look that's fair. And maybe we were a bit tough on the CDC and maybe not as tough on the UP.
You're very tough on it.
We're going to get tough on the UP too, by the way. Now,
You think so?
we have to, right? Because they've had state power now over 2 years, right? Liberian lives, average life of Liberia hasn't really changed, like ordinary common Liberia. So now we got to get tough. We got to hold them accountable and make no apologies for that, right? They were elected. They have control of the resources. They have the constitutional authority and responsibility to lead on behalf of our people. We're going to start to get tough on the
Mr. Cummings, if you were to walk at an intellectual center at the moment, maybe a Thai center or whatever intellectual center, and go to street corners and marketplaces, there are a lot of discussions amongst Liberians. Some people think that, look, from 1847 to now, we're tired, man. We have elected people over and again. Our lives are not changing. The country is not getting better. Somebody will say, no, the country is getting better. Tower did this. Waka is doing this. Ellen did. George Weah did this. But there is another group of Liberians who think that, look, we're not going to give up. We should have a third option. CDC has ruled or led the country. Unity Party has ruled, led, and is still leading the country. We are looking for a third option. Mr. Cummings, how do you fit in as the third option if you think you are the person who is supposed to be the third option?
Yeah, so I agree with you in terms of the sentiments of Liberians. I would divide it into sort of three groups, not numerically, but there are three. There's one group of Liberians, and I hope they're the minority, have kind of given up. They're like, when I try, as you just 1847, and I'm not worried about the politics. People that can't promise. They don't do anything. I'm just going to live my life. That's kind of one sentiment. I hope that's a small one because we shouldn't give up. There's another sentiment to your point where people are saying like, you know, there's got to be a different way, a better way, a third way, an alternative, right? So that's a second option that some people are thinking about. And then the third, you still have the diehard supporters of the UP, of the CDC, right? And so they believe in both of those institutions. I believe that many Liberians, and I hope they are the majority, I don't know this empirically, but I believe many Liberians want a third way. They don't know who or what it is, but they say to themselves, God didn't just resign us or determine, deify that we should suffer like this, right? There's got to be a third way, there's got to be an alternative. And so it's up to me, the ANC, and other like-minded Liberians to offer Liberians that third alternative, that third way, that third lane, that is different, that will improve their lives, that will make sure the suffering is reduced, that people can have 3 meals a day, that they can pay their rent or they can build a house.
Do you fit in there?
I want to make the case that I definitely, that third way, that part of the third way, is still up to me and the people that support me in the ANC. We haven't done that yet, right? But that is the opportunity. That is the challenge, right? And it's up to me and the ANC and supporters and like-minded people, because there are other like-minded politicians and Liberians who feel the same way. And again, this is where reconciliation and working
together is important.
Informally, like yesterday I met with, a political leader, head of a party just yesterday. So it's more informal, more conversations along those lines, not informal yet. But I'm open to all conversations, right? But I always focus, Clarence, on what I can control, right? And what I can control. What I can control. Okay. And what I can control is what I do with myself and my time, how I interact with other people, the party, etc. So my focus now is on what I can control, and that is to make the case to our country, to our people, that there's a third way, there's a third alternative, and we can be that third alternative. We can be that option for a better, a new Liberia. But it's up to us. It's up to me to do that. And I think if we do, there's an openness with many Liberians who want a third lane, a third way.
Now, this is not campaign time. Your friend Joe Boakai is now president of the country. Will come there and talk about some of the leadership issues on his government. Now, what would you have done differently, Mr. Cummings? What would you do differently? What practical steps will you take as president of the country? Because Cummings can become president 6 years, 12 years. I'm not sure you're going to change a 100-year problem. But if you lay the country better, people will say, oh, at least under Cummings' presidency, Liberia started to change. What will you do differently?
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned, because I would talk about what things I would do differently and what I would change, and I would try to be specific as well. But I'm glad you mentioned about the legacy. So I want to remind Liberians that, and I've said this all along many times, but again, maybe not in ways that can be appreciated, and I own that, in that my ambition is to work with Liberians to change the country. That's the ambition, to change Liberia for the better benefit of all Liberians. The presidency is the job that allows you to do that. It's what I call is a means to an end. It's not the end. The end is to change the country for the benefit and enjoyment of all Liberians. That is the ambition. And so, God willing, the Liberian people willing, I become president of Liberia to serve, and I view it as a job of service. We'll use that job to change the country, and the reward for me will be 30, 40, 50 years from now, when people look back and they say, who was president when Liberia started to really change? I wanted to say there was Alexander Cummings, because we're not changing in 12 years, to your point, but we'll start the journey of transformation, change the country, and we want Liberians to feel it, right? So 30, 40 years from now, when people look back, that for me is the reward, the legacy. Not the job per se, not the cars or the private jets, because I've been blessed with those things. That's not the ambition. The ambition is to use the job to change the country. It's a means to an end. And the job that allows you to change Liberia is the presidency. Per the Constitution, head of state, head of government, commander-in-chief of the armed forces. In many other countries, those roles are separate. You have the president might be head of state, the prime minister, head of government, and so on and so forth. In Liberia, it's combined. It's a powerful role.
It's powerful.
And so that's the role. Given the opportunity, we can change Liberia. What are some of the things we'll do differently? First of all, we want to implement policies that will immediately affect the lives of ordinary Liberians. So we want to immediately, for example, I'll give you multiple examples. We want to immediately invest heavily in healthcare, what we call primary healthcare. What kills most Liberians, Clarence? These are facts, right? In no particular order. Malaria, typhoid, hypertension, diabetes, childbirth. I think there's 6, there's one I'm forgetting. We need to make sure we got clinics with drugs, healthcare workers paid, nurses, midwives, birthing rooms. Those things will impact people's lives right away. We want to make sure we're paying the people that do the real work, police officers, healthcare workers, teachers, the military people, civil servants, pay them what I call a living wage, at least $400 a month. It will impact their lives right away. We want to make sure we're offering loans to Liberian businesses, all the way from micro loans, market women, etc., to medium and large Liberian businesses, create financing for them to grow and expand their businesses. It will help them directly. We want to implement a national youth service program to help with the unemployment issue. It's not the ultimate solutions to unemployment, but it's a bridge to unemployment. Then we want to invest in those things that will create jobs and generate growth. We will invest more in agriculture. The first A in the arrest agenda is agriculture. Mm-hmm. If you look at the original budget, I think they were investing, allocated like $30 million in agriculture. That you can't be serious if you're doing that, right? In the supplemental budget, I think they only allocated another $500,000 or $1 million. Agriculture is a growth driver. It's a job creator. And when I say invest in agriculture, I don't mean just farming. Farming plus building factories to add value to our agricultural products, right? So we investing in housing. Housing, Liberians need housing. It will create jobs, by the way, and it will solve a problem, right? That's another opportunity. Investing in tourism, right? If you look at Kenya today, you look at South Africa today, you look at Senegal today, look at the Gambia, big part of the economy is all about tourism. We got 350 miles of beaches in Liberia. We got mountain, waterfalls, all that kind of stuff, right? So those are things we're investing that will directly begin to influence the life.
And you think the current government, headed by your friend, is not doing some of those things?
No, I mean, look at the allocation of the budget. Clarence, again, it's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. My favorite quotation from Albert Einstein.
That has gone so wide.
We are allocating, so the budget is now gone to over $1 billion. Right? By the way, in 2017, as you know, at the debate, I said back then that our budget should be more than $1 billion United States dollars, and I was ridiculed. And we should have been there long time ago, faster. Okay, we're there now. Check. By the way, it should be even $2 billion plus, and I can tell you why. But even though we got this increased amount, we're allocating the same way into recurring expenses, right? Into investing in the government instead of investing in the people, right? Why are we not investing into electricity, into water systems? I mentioned into tourism, into agriculture. Those are things paying civil servants more so they can have a living wage. Why we're not taking that incremental money and allocating it differently than we have in the past? Instead, we're investing more in the legislature. 103 people, over $50 million United States dollars. Why? When the average teacher.
Why do you think our budget could go up to 1.5 or $2 million on a Cummings presidency?
Many reasons. So when you just simplistically, it's much more complicated than how I'm going to make it get right. So when you compare us to Ivory Coast, right next door, right? Ivory Coast population is about 5 or 6 times ours. We run about 5 million or so people. Ivory Coast around 33, 34 million, 6 times, roughly, right? Their budget is over 30 billion United States dollars, right? So if you divide that 33 or whatever million, the budget, 30 billion, by 6, you get to what? 4, we should be around 4 or 5 billion. But that's too simple, right? So you cut that in half. You say maybe $2.5 or $3 billion. That's a very simplistic analogy.
They have a population of 33.5 million people.
I said 33, right? Yeah. I know my arithmetic, right? Yeah. So I'm glad you check on me, right? But again, that's simplistic. But if we invest in growing the economy, that's how we'll be able to grow the budget, right? Invest in agriculture, invest in tourism, invest in housing, right? Make the business environment more conducive, right? Get more money from our natural resources, right? I just did a podcast on that. All of those things will grow this thing we call the economy, right? And when you grow the economy, you will get more tax revenue. And that's how you'll be able to drive, our revenue from the, 1.2 billion today to 1.5, 2 billion plus, which is what we need to be aspiring to do, right? And when you have those, what I call aspirational goals, then you sit with your team and say, okay, now how are we going to get there? What decisions we need to make? What we need to do different, right? But if you just think incrementally, 50 million there, 100 million there, you will never move anywhere. So let's be aggressive. Let's be aspirational. Let's set high goals for ourselves. Then we sit down as a people, as a team, and say, okay, if we want to get to 3 billion, right? What do we need to do? What do we need to change? What behaviors? What policies? What regulatory environment? All of those things you start to change and adjust, so you're working towards aspirational goals again, so we can begin to change our country and invest in our people. The key is we gotta invest. They say you gotta spend money to make money. That's what investment is. We gotta invest in those things that will impact the life of ordinary Liberians. And if we, in the ANC, if you look at our vision, mission, our beliefs, one of the things we say is we believe that you invest in people and the people will develop the country.
You invest in people and the people will develop the country.
So that means you invest in education, healthcare, you create jobs, invest in Liberian business, etc. You make those investments. Liberians with smart people who will figure it out. We will be the ones that do that. And we'll put more demands on the government to manage the business.
It is often said that sometimes there are very good people who come to become president of the country, but the system and the people around them can change them. What kind of president would you be?
We gotta change the system. And again, I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Again, it goes back to you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect different results. So, and I've heard people say, oh, you can't change the system. This is Liberia. I said that's nonsense. We Liberians, we go and live in other countries, in Africa, in the rest of the world, right? And we follow the rules, we follow those systems, and there are examples of Liberians. I am one who have put new systems in place, change systems that are different and better. So we need to change the systems in Liberia, right? We need to change behaviors. Look, we have been organized this sort of unitary, centralized government, the superintendents, into the mayors. Are we holding them accountable differently, right? We need to truly, not superficially, we need to truly put responsibilities down. That's just one example of systemic changes we need to make. We need to use technology. We need to digitize the country. We need to digitize the government, e-government. Look, today, if I want to go to Kenya, I can get a visa online on my phone. African countries, right? I'm not even talking about Dubai. You can, just an example of how you can use technology, right? And when you use technology, you can reduce the corruption, all that stuff, right? Because you're not handling physical cash, right? If you think about the economy and the amount of cash that I handle, we need to encourage mobile money. We need to encourage point of sale, debit cards, credit cards, right? But technology is another way you can change the system, right? You can improve people's lives, right? We should make sure all Liberians have access to the internet. All Liberians have access to cell phone, right? Technology can begin to change the lives of our country so that you can sit in Liberia and you can work online. But our internet, it happens today by some people, right? But it needs to be consistent. It needs to happen across the country. So those are some of the systemic changes we can make to change the system, right? Change behaviors. So one of the things we did in our platform, the ANC, was we called engaging hearts and minds. How do we engage us, Liberians, to think about our country differently? How do you use sports? How do you use art, culture, music, religion? Those things, right? Sports teaches teamwork. It actually teaches integrity, if you're intentional about it. Religion, same thing. You think about arts, music, culture. People listen to it. It can influence behavior, right? It can influence how you act, how you think, right? So if we're intentional about using those vehicles, if you invest in those things, again, that's part of the systemic change, the psychological change of our people in our country. And again, we can do these things, right? So yes, we got to change the system, Clarence.
Mr. Cummings, in opposition, one of the things you people were talked about, the Unity Party, the Cummings, ANC, and all of you was this issue about harmonization. When the CDC started to do harmonization, drop people's salary, their intention, they said, was very good. They were trying to bring stability. That one other minister dropped, is not going to make 5 cents, another person made $1, and those kinds of things. Up to now, the Unity Party came to power. Well, it hasn't been able to get rid of that issue of the policy that was introduced by the CDC. Now, you were talking about increasing the budget. Will you reduce your salary as president? Are you willing to do so? Will you reduce the salary and benefits of the people who will be in your cabinet so that we don't see people riding $45,000 car? You talk about the legislature. Will you work with the legislature to be reasonable enough to use the money differently?
So it's a great question. I'm going to try. It is not as simple as a yes or no, and I will try to explain it as simple as I can. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
So on the one hand, there's a lot of waste in government that we have to take out the waste, right? And there are a few people, the legislature being the primary one, that is overpaid, that gets paid too much. For a poor country like Liberia, for us to be allocating over $50 million US, and I think they just increased it even more in the supplemental budget, to 103 people, I think that's embarrassing. That is unconscionable. So, and there's lots of waste, lots of too much travel, too many expensive cars, right? We need to get rid of the waste. So that's one part of it, and we will do that. The other part of it is the solution, right? it's a mentality. We should be working to increase everybody in the private sector and everybody's salary. The solution is not to bring one group down so you can hire more people in government, because government is not the job creator. It should be the private sector that is creating jobs. Look, Clarence, if the government is fully staffed, it might hire about 70,000 people, roughly, in that range. And that's still too big a government. But let's so that. But you got over 2 million Liberians who need jobs. Government is not the job creator. If you don't fixing the private sector to create jobs, you're not going to solve the job problem. And I know how to grow the economy to fix that piece. But back to the question is, the CDC rationale was, we will harmonize, bring people's salary down, then we can hire more people into government. That's wrong. That's a mistake. Because government should not be the one hiring people, right? It should be the private sector, right? So we got to pay people a fair living wage, and we want to find more money to bring other people up. It's kind of the crime mentality. You want to bring people down so all can be in the mud, right? If some people's high, you adjust it if it's too much. But the focus is to bring everybody up. Am I making sense? That's where we got to find the money. That's where we got to make sure we're getting adequate money for our natural resources. That's what the waste we can reinvest. That's what we reduce the corruption.
Will you reduce your salary?
I would donate whatever the salary is for the president. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's public. But whatever it is, I will make it public, and I would donate it to some charity.
You will not take a salary?
I will not take a salary.
Cummings, you're on record.
I'm on record. I've been on record.
You will not take the salary as president?
I will not take my salary as president of Liberia. I will make it public where that salary is, and I will make it public where I want to donate it to. I like education and STEM education, science, technology, engineering. I might allocate it to improve STEM or something. I don't know what it is, but I will not take a salary. We'll allocate it. And that doesn't mean other people shouldn't take their salary, because I've been blessed. So I'm not doing this for the money or whatever else. Other people need the salary, so I'm suggesting that because I'm not taking mine, other people should.
There are rumors in the corridors of the country that you are in a serious conversation with former President George Weah. What are you talking?
So I'm not in serious conversation with any political leader. I'm in conversations with almost all political leaders. You understand the difference? So it's not serious. I know President Weah. We've had conversations. I know a lot of people in his party and his party leadership. Just like I know President Boykai. I visited with him. We've spoken. We have a mutual respect for our relationship. I know other political leaders. I know Tiawan. I know Musa. I know Clarence Moniba. I know Simeon Freeman. I haven't spoken to all of them recently, but we know each other, and I will make an effort to reach out to them. So we're in conversations, but I won't consider quote-unquote serious conversations. As leaders in the country, we should know each other. We are not enemies. We are Liberians. I think we should all have the same objectives, and I believe we all do. How we achieve those objectives may be different, and it's okay, right? So no political leader in Liberia I have a problem with. The different point of view on how to change the country, grow the country, but we should know each other, we should have a relationship with each other, and we should be respectful.
In seeing the CPB scenario taught you a lot of lessons. I heard you talking about, it's not good to do it early, good to do it when the elections are on the wall, so that you do not, you avoid a lot of things. And it seemed to me as though if Cummings ANC is going into any negotiation, they will make a case that, look, Cummings is going to be the arrowhead. This is our position. We're not going to negotiate that one. Who would you, for example, prefer as running mate?
No, I think it's too early to talk about running mate. I think that if you're going into a collaboration, we should be flexible, right? But not just the ANC, anybody go into a collaboration, you want to aspire to be the arrowhead. You may or may not end up there, but you can't go in already negotiating to be second. By definition, in fact, you may end up even less than that, right? So yes, we're going to make the case, both in the minds of Liberians. That's where we try to influence and control. As I say, I focus on what I can control. And over the next 12, 18 months, that will be the focus, right? To make the case for the ANC, for Alexander Cummings. And we go into any conversations, we'll be making our case. And then wherever the reality is coming out of that, They will be
Sometimes
the
we go to those discussions on the basis of strength. Somebody will say, but what's swimming number?
Correct.
What did he get 2023? Why should he be the hour ahead?
Correct.
How will you respond?
and that's why I got to build a strength.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to be doing the next 12 to 18 months is to build our strength. You cannot go to any negotiation, not get political, by the way. Any negotiation, if business, the private sector, you come together, if you don't have strength or leverage, you will lose in that negotiation, right? So we got to bring strength. We got to bring leverage.
Do we have any member of the House of Representatives from the ANC?
We do.
Okay.
But to be honest,
I'm asking this question because I think you did a public writing or a podcast on the Yeke Koloba exposure.
Right.
Let me hear your view on that.
So just to answer your reason, and I'll come to here. We do have candidates not candidates, we do have legislators, right, in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, but they have not followed our positions, right?
In the House, who do you have, for example?
So we have Anthony Williams.
Okay, Anthony
We
Williams
have Yana Flomo.
Maryland, now from Nimba.
We have Bawe from Grand Crew.
Grand Crew, okay.
I'm missing maybe one or two.
Okay, you have at
We
least.
have Jonathan Subway, who's in the Senate. So yeah, there are not many, but no,
At least
we have a
you
few.
have.
Yeah, of course. So what the
The
question?
Yeke's exposure.
Yeah, that's what. So look, I did a post, and many things that Yeke says and how he says it, I don't agree with. Right? His choice of words, I don't agree with. But that's not illegal. That's not basis for expulsion, right? The proof of freedom of speech is when you can say something that I don't like, that I disagree with, that may be even offensive, but it's your right, and that's not a basis for expulsion.
This is a sovereignty matter.
Yes.
They said he took oath.
So in some way, it feels like, and I'm being cynical here, it feels like this whole special session was just to get rid of Yeke. Because I think they spend most of the time on our issue and very little time on the budget, right? So I've made it clear, it's not about what Yeke said or didn't say, it's his right to say what he said, and that is not a basis.
Even if his colleagues think it was at the detriment of the country and the legislature.
But it wasn't. What is the proof that it was at the detriment of the country and the legislature? That's an assertion. We've still not seen the proof on what he did that justified his expulsion. We haven't. They haven't provided it.
What's your view on the Sloma Bolo situation? By the way, the Guinean soldiers are still there.
And by the way, too, not only the Yeke situation, they started again with Senator Marconi, right, who was making the right assertions, was advocating for increasing the size of the military and paying the military more. And again, this kind of intolerance for people who are speaking their minds, who they disagree with you, who are trying to hold you accountable. This intolerance is a slippery slope. Like, we need to be careful. We're going back to behaviors from the Tory party time that led us to where we ended up, right? And so, again, I want to be clear that the behaviors, the accusation against Amara makes no sense. I disagree with him. He had a right to do what he did. And again, whether we agree or not, that's beside the point, right? We speak for his right to.
The Sloma Bolo situation.
So the
Do you
Bolo
have a
situation,
view? An opinion?
we publish a view as well.
Okay.
There are three things we said we needed to do. One, we needed to investigate and be transparent about what precipitated, what started, what caused the situation to happen. That investigation has not taken place. We don't know what caused, what precipitated, why did the Guineans do what they did. That's the first thing we said. The second thing we said is we do need to pursue negotiations, active negotiations with the Guineans, within the Mana River Union, within ECOWAS.
And you think the government is not doing that?
I don't know. If they are, they're not telling us. So I'm not saying they aren't, but they need to let the Liberian people know what they're doing. President Walker went to Guinea, he came back. What happened? What was the outcome? So they may be negotiating class. We need to know what they're doing. And the third thing we said in our position is that they need to look after the displaced people. There were people displaced. As a result of that, the government should be looking. Those people should not be suffering. right? So those are the three things. Let's understand what precipitated it, and then let's solve it. Let's go after whoever did what they did that caused it. Let's use negotiation. They may be doing it or not, but active, so we can solve this issue. And third, let's look after the people that have been displaced. That's my position and that of the.
This is the OK Morning Rush. Several radio stations are relaying the political leader of the Alternative National Congress, Mr. Alexander Cummings, is here as our guest this morning on the show. And I'm told Prime FM is relaying, Sky FM, Joy FM, Radio, Gunpowder, Nimba County, and other community radio stations. DN News Online, The Closing Argument, Focus on Liberia, Shine Liberia, and Vision TV. All these institutions are relaying. Let's go to the telephone lounge now and take calls, because I want interaction at least for 8 or 10 minutes. Then we could give Mr. Alexander Cummings the rest of the 5 minutes to respond to some of the concerns, and then he can give his closing comments. 0777-700-995, 0555-026-995. Our first caller is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your name? Where you come from?
This is too loud.
Okay, let's hear you, man.
Yeah, I would like to appreciate your feedback for transportation appointments. Better platform to get us about the country from change like you will now. The other thing I would like for you to do is to move collaboration with other politicians so that at least the Bureau will see the government.
Thank you. Hello?
Good morning.
You should have done all I want. Let's hear you. Quick, your name, where you come from?
I want to thank you.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think he said he will redirect the fund to. He said he likes education. So 1 minute. So if your salary is supposed to be yours, and you say let's this is my salary is $5, but I'm not taking this money. You're pulling into hell. You're buying some tablet or stuff. Okay, thank you, but I don't get it. But anyway, thank you for your concern. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, parents.
Good morning, sir.
This is Joseph. I'm joining from Monrovia.
Yusuf, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I have a few issues quickly, right? I listened to the honorable sharing. He talked lengthily, right, about how he would know about things he would do. But he's not being able to answer the question of how the approach, the structural approach to solving these problems that he has outlined. And secondly, my question to you, Israel has not been able to improve its cycle. He's not been able to improve its political presence in the country for the last 8 years.
For example, what do you mean?
I'm saying Israel has 7% in last election, it came down to 1%. So Israel cannot be able to build a cycle to make a big change so that I'll bring people for support. How do you think they can be able to command the overwhelming authority of the state to lead and transform things?
Okay, Joseph. Let's go to the US and take one call from outside Liberia. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Gossin calling from Novikoya.
Okay, Gossin, let's hear you.
Mr. Kume, thank you for the presentation. I sometimes wonder why people try to question 1%, 7% issue. I think we are way too long to hear some of these politics and how they can be effectively to us. But that's why I want to say to Mr. Mr. Cummings, I've been doing to you. I know that you've been waiting so long and you've been using the remain consistent. I don't want you to represent one politician. If it calls for you to do the last day you become president, do the last day you become president. But do not invite to any corrupt. You have all politicians in the country that you can work with. We come to support you. The Lord wants to make them give all people support. And we will come to that God to support you because we believe there is something in you that you need to give to the Liberian people.
Thank you. Another call. I think this one is from Germany. The foreign calls we will take another one from Australia. Hello.
Yeah, good morning, parents, and good morning, students.
Good morning. Your name? Where you come from? Just call your name and where you come from, sir. Come again? Chief, your lung is terrible, and so we'll go back to the foreign call. We take the one I'm sure is from Australia, but let's take a local call. Hello. Good morning, sir. What's your name? All right, Caddy, let's hear you, man.
Yeah, good morning. You know, there's something I wanted to say that's also correct. When you mention it's not going to take salary, and people say, well, what is this man talking about? There are people who go to leadership for service. If you even read the constitutional text for presidential salary, it's around 90,000 annually. That is not something that somebody who wants to serve is going to look at the level of Mr. Cummings. He's established, he's emphasizing that he's left. So it's very just a legacy, not for the opulence about the presidency number 7. Because most of the things the presidency offers, you already either you have them or you have enjoyed it before that the private jet president will glamorize about. He's very popular, he has access to more than 5 private jets. So he's not there for the affluence. He wants to serve. And one of the major things to create job for young people is look at junior and DOD combined product. We're going to take from your package. Most of them more rapidly going from
Okay, thank you. We'll take another call from. Did I see this call from outside the country? We can take just 2 more because I want to give him some time to respond. I'm sorry, the calls are just so many. Hello, outside Liberia. Yeah. Yeah, Abba Blair. Yeah.
Is yesterday better than today, or is today better than yesterday? And why?
In terms of governance?
In terms of governance.
Okay. Is yesterday better than today? Is today better than yesterday? And why? Hello? Good morning, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, let me take the only female caller. Then we go back to Mr. Ellis Cummings. Hello?
Thank you so much for having me on. This is Diane.
Okay, all right, Peter.
Yes, let me say good morning to your studio guests. And let me say thanks to Mr. Cummings for the discussion. My only issue with Mr. Cummings here is that he is a little bit silent on things that are happening now. You know, before then we listen to him giving press releases on, every issues. But today we are seeing rape cases in the country, police brutality, the issue of corruption. But Mr. Cummings is not speaking like before, so I have issue with that.
Okay, yeah, I think he talked about being more engaging in the coming months. Mr. Cummings, I'm sorry we're not accepting any more calls. We got like 4 minutes to go. Let's give him the time. Mr. Cummings.
Thank you. So, on the last caller, I think you answered the question, Clarence. By the way, we have not been completely silent. We pick and choose the issues we wanted to speak to. And as I said, you can be constantly,
It's ABC time.
in the public face, if you will. But we're going to be more active, more aggressive. The question of yesterday versus today, I think it's the same, unfortunately. The life of the average, ordinary Liberian, common Liberian, their life yesterday, today hasn't changed, unfortunately. And I wish it was getting better. And I hope it does. I hope President Boga and the Unity Party government put in actions that will improve the lives. What I was saying yesterday versus today is the same. Comment about not merging. Look, we'll be careful who we merge with, but collaboration is important. Reconciliation is important. And if you look at the history of our politics, the recent history, all people who have won have some form of good collaboration. There's a comment about eat versus take or whatever. Again, I think that's splitting words. And again, I think you addressed it somewhat. I think you declared this. Whatever the salary is, if it's $90,000 a year, we would donate it to some cause, like education. And I stick to that point, and you can interpret any way you want. It's up to Liberians to do that. But let me conclude by saying the following. First of all, Clarence, thank you for the opportunity to have what was a robust discussion. I want to thank all the folks with their questions, those for and against. This is what a democracy is all about. And I want Liberians to know that we will continue to be committed to working hard to get an opportunity to change the lives of our country and our people. This is my vision, my passion. I want to see our country do better. I think Liberia deserves better. I think we cannot keep doing the same thing over and expect different results, same behaviors, electing people with the same experiences, nothing really changing, and then somehow we expect the lives of our people to be different. We will make the case to be the alternatives, to be this third lane, and we hope we can convince Liberians again to give us the opportunity to serve, and to serve them in a way that they can see a difference in their lives.
Okay, Mr. Cummings, thank you ever so much for coming. We hope we can have more of these kinds of. When you say, I don't know, you said I'll be tough in the coming days. Say you're prepared now to do more public engagement with your media people and all these kinds of things. We wish you well.
Thank you.